there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my November TBR, but before we go ahead and get on into the books, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post new bookish videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. And also check down in the description box below for links to all of my social medias, my Buddy Read Discord, and my Patreon. I plan on reading 5 books in the month of November, and I have a lot of time off in November because of the Thanksgiving holiday, and then I also get November 8th off for Election Day here in the United States. So I feel like I'll be able to hopefully get through 5 books. And we're also kind of winding down the end of the year, so there are a couple of series that I want to wrap up that I really wanted to finish by the end of 2022. The first book I plan on reading is The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is the 4th and final book in the Books of Babel, which is I think it's categorized as fantasy, but there's no magic really. It's just all bizarre, made up stuff, made up world. It has some sci-fi steampunk elements to it, and I've enjoyed every book that I've read. And this is a chunker. This is close to 600 pages, and we just got so much more information and expansion of the world in book 3. If you're not familiar with what the series is about, it follows a man named Thomas Senlin who's kind of a quiet school teacher, and he marries this woman named Maria, and they go to the Tower of Babel for their honeymoon, and she goes missing. So the first whole year Senlin spends trying to find Maria, and what he learns is that each level of the tower, it's known as a ringdom, comes with its different challenges, and he is faced with a lot of secrets that the tower holds and kind of what its purpose is and who's governing it, and he kind of gets involved in all of these things going on. So in the last book we did get a reemergence of Maria, find out what happened to her, and we learned a really kind of important secret that has to do with the both of them, and then something happens to Senlin that he just gets himself in a pickle. So I'm really excited to finally conclude this series and see where Josiah Bancroft is going. I have been listening to these on partial audio, partial physically reading this because I think that the audiobook narrator is excellent, but as of right now my library doesn't have this on audio, so I will be physically reading this. Next, I want to read Locklands by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the 3rd and final book in the Founders trilogy, which is an adult high fantasy series. I absolutely love the covers for every single one of these books, by the way. I think they're gorgeous. But this is a fantasy series about a girl named Sansia. And Sansia is a thief, and she gets a job to steal this artifact, but she goes to steal the artifact and she kind of learns that it has something to do with the magic system that kind of governs their world. Basically, the magic system allows people to change the reality of objects by writing this type of code on them, and all of these codes are combined together and kept in these big databases. And this one kind of artifact holds a lot of information about some things going on in this world and this magic system. It's a very fast-paced book. It's a very, in my opinion, I don't want to say complicated, but very intricate magic system. And I was debating whether I wanted to re-listen to the first 2 books in the series just because it's been a while since I've read it and the magic system is quite intricate. So I might, if I have time, re-listen to at least Shorefall before diving into Locklands because I really want to get the most out of this series as I can. I will probably listen to this mostly on audiobook. My library does have this on audio. Next is a YA fantasy, and that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is her 2nd book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is a spin-off of her Caraval series, which I really enjoyed. And I read the first book over summertime. I do have a full review of it, which I'll link up in the cards. But I always say this, I love Stephanie Garber's writing. I think it's so magical and so purpley, but not purpley to the extent that it pulls out of the story. I also really like her world, the world of Caraval. It's just magical and whimsical. In this book, we're following a new character named Evangeline, and she gets involved with the Fate named Jax. At the beginning of the first book, she thinks that her boyfriend, or her fiance, trying to remember, who she was absolutely in love with, she thinks that he has been cursed because one day he just decides to marry her stepsister with no information whatsoever about how this happened, so Evangeline is convinced that he has been cursed or tricked. So she makes a deal with Jax, and Jax says that he will help her as long as she kisses 3 people of his choosing. But like that is like the basic premise of this story. It is so much more than that. Evangeline ends up going to the north where her mother is from, getting involved with the emperor there, learning secrets about herself and her abilities, as well as this magic that is kept hidden in the north. And then we get some reveals about Jax, and Evangeline is having to question whether he's being truthful with her or whether he's just living up to his reputation of being a trickster. So it was a really, really easy, quick book to get through with a lot of twists and turns, and I'm really anticipating the sequel. And next we have Pandemic by Robin Cook. This is a medical thriller, and Robin Cook is an author that I have wanted to read for the longest time. He is like a staple author in the medical thriller, I guess, genre, and I don't even think I've read a medical thriller, and I have checked out a ton of his books via ebook from the Libby app from my library and just don't read them because I can't stand reading on an electronic device. So I decided just to splurge and buy a couple of his books from thriftbooks.com. So spoiler, I will be having a book haul coming soon, but I got a couple of them in the mail, and this is one of the ones that spoke to me. It was published in 2018. Because Robin Cook has been writing for like decades, so I feel like the medical technology that he talks about in his books probably aren't as relevant to older books as they are today, so I'm glad that this one is definitely newer. In this book, we're following a character named Jack. I don't know if he's a doctor or a coroner, but he's something in the medical field. One day, a woman collapses on the subway, dies, and she's brought in for Jack to examine. And he finds out that she not only had a heart transplant, but there's like similar DNA between her and DNA in the heart. So I don't know if it's like her heart that was taken out and put back in, or a family member or someone related to her. But Jack's investigations lead him to this corporation that is involved in gene editing, and a businessman that is more concerned with turning a profit than helping and or saving human lives. So it sounds exactly what I was looking for in a medical thriller, and I'm very excited to try Robin Cook and see if he's an author that I like, or at least get something out of his books. Let me know in the comments if there are any other like medical thriller authors that I should try other than Robin Cook, because I really don't know of any. And lastly, I have Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This is one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I haven't really been reading that many sci-fi books in 2022, which makes me sad. I've read both Dark Matter and Recursion by Blake Crouch, and I find that his books are really fast-paced, easy to read, easy to get through, and fairly short. And I am going to be reading this with my husband because I keep telling him that he should read Blake Crouch. I think he would like it. And I do have a hold on the audiobook for this. There's about like a 4-week hold left on it, and hopefully it'll like come available obviously in November sometime. But in this book, we're following a man named Logan, and Logan realizes that something strange is happening to him. He's able to concentrate better, multitask, he's kind of seeing the world in new ways, and he can't deny that something is happening to his brain. And upon investigation, he realizes that his genome has been hacked, and that the people behind the hack are actually upgrading his brain. And he did not consent to this. He doesn't know who it is or what's going on or why, so he starts investigating exactly what's going on, and he was one of the only people that's able to do this. And I really liked the quote at the end of the synopsis that says something like, "What if humankind's own chance at survival is to engineer their own evolution?" So it definitely sounds like right up Blake Crouch's alley, and I'm so excited to read it. All right, you guys, that is it for my November TBR. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you've thought of them, or what you plan on reading in the month of November, and I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye.